all of them. Made them look like fools. One old convict, taking them to court, and they didn't like that worth a damn. One morning I saw this young woman walk in the snack bar, and she was beautiful. Back then I thought any woman was beautiful though, but she was beautiful. And I thought she was a secretary at first, but I come to find out she was a doctor, psychiatrist, in charge of 4A, where they kept all the real badasses. That was her job. Her major was violence. She wanted to know why men were violent. She wasn't even supposed to take me on as a patient because I was a mainline convict. And they wondered why in the hell is she wanting Mackie. I found out one day she walked up to me and she said, "I hear you're going to the board, parole board." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you want me to file you a board report?" So I stopped and thought. I said, "Well, no, why would she do this?" And I said, "Sure." Boy, she was beautiful, man. I could eat that son of a bitch up right there in that snack bar. Not a hair left. One thing led to another, and I got the job through Lieutenant Faust. He wanted me, because he knew I didn't fool with drugs or nothing, to take care of the conjugal visiting houses. That's where a convict fucks his wife, and you people that don't understand it from Orange County. I took care of the houses. There were 3 of them. One day in her office, I couldn't hold it back no more. She'd raise her leg and let me look up her dress. So I'd look up her dress, and boy, it sure looked good. She didn't wear no panties. And boy, I was ready to rape that motherfucker right there. And that's that first time I felt of her tits there. She didn't say nothing, so I figured, hell, I'm going further. So I went further, and me and her fucked on the desk. Now this is all in the record, can be checked out. And we started fucking in her office, then she started coming down to the visiting houses. And the bull that worked there, we called him Tweety Bird. And because his name was Tweety. He would tell me when the coast was clear, you get your girlfriend and go in there now. And he'd let me and her go in them houses and fuck and suck. And she got to where she'd record it on her recorder. And record me eating her pussy or fucking her or her sucking my dick. And then she'd play it back and listen to it. And violence, she'd get her gun by thinking about violence. She said, "Tell me about stabbing somebody while we were fucking." So boy, I thought, this bitch is more fucked up than me. But I wasn't going to ruin, that was a convict's dream. We was close to the same age. She came down one morning and told me she had a dream last night. And I said, "What was it?" "I dreamed that I took you to one of my husband's cocktail parties, naked, and I had a chain around your neck, and you had a big old heart on." And that's what she said. And it woke her up at night. Her husband said, "Hey, who's JB? Who are you talking about?" I was fixing to get out on parole. And she had written me a board report, made me look like some kind of movie idol or something. That I hadn't done nothing, that I was ready to go, regardless of how many men I'd killed. I was on the straight and narrow. This is your psychiatrist for you. Outside the snack bar one day, like I said, I used to watch for her when she'd drive in. She drove a little red sports car. And I'd run it and start mopping the floor, and then I'd go outside and pretend I was cleaning the mop so I could look at her when she'd come by, because we'd talk out on the sidewalk. Then I got my date cut shorter, and her report did it for me. And she told me, I said, "You gonna give me your address?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, what about us? Are you going to go with me on the street?" She said, "No, I'm married. I can't afford to. If something happened, I'd lose my social standing, my professional standing." I said, "In other words, you was using me because you was curious about that operation, right?" She never would come straight out and say, "You're right." But she'd say, there was information. I said, "What about all this sex we had?" And she She wouldn't say, she didn't say nothing. She said, well, I can't see you on the street. I said, you're going to regret this. You know what I should do, I told her, is feed you to the sharks. And don't ever think I wouldn't do it. And that scared her. So we got caught. That we met in the house the next day. When I got out of Folsom, Bill Hankins picked me up. He still had me on the list for undercover convict. We went to the San Francisco Organized Crime Unit. So I had my job cut out for me, and we had it fixed up with the parole officer. So I went there and I got big books. I made this a point though. We're here to bust radicals, and that's it. I ain't going no further. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't tell on those guys. They wasn't hurting me, but those fucking bombers were. They showed me some pictures of schools they'd bombed. Killed children, like the weathermen and all them maniacs. So Hankins let me out. Took me, one day I went through all the files, looked at all the pictures. I knew more than half of them. I'd done time with them. So I got out, he took me, he said, I want to talk to you before you go in. I said, all right. We drove around, he bought me dinner. He said, I want you to be careful, he told me. Now this is a man that told me, one of these days I'm going to walk you to the gas chamber. Bill Hankins. Said, I'm going to draw every goddamn step of it when they drop that pellet on your ass. I said, you going to hold my hand? You know? So Bill bought me dinner. We ate dinner in San Francisco. He said, I'm going to leave you now. He said, but you be careful. I said, I know how to handle myself. I'll be all right. And that's when I went undercover. I got into an organization full of radicals. How's that old saying, it takes a thief to catch a thief? Well, it takes a radical-minded motherfucker to catch a radical-minded motherfucker. It takes a convict to catch a convict. By that time, the radicals were thinning out. There wasn't many of them left. They were, you know, they were gone, most of them. So I knew it was time for me to leave. I don't regret at all. I feel like a rat busting them because they needed busting. They'd set a bomb anywhere to blow anybody. They wanted to change the government, but they didn't know what the hell they wanted to change it to. It would have been, what kind of government could those idiots have run? It'd been completely mayhem. Everybody doing what they, you got to have law. You got to have organization. Well, they had neither one.